At the KSMO Studios, 1340, it is Intercounty Tuesday. Heather's made her way in. Yay!
I'm here.
Yes, you are here. Intercounty Tuesday.
Colder than what I wanted it to be.
Well,
but
I understand that. I mean, we had kind of some really nice temperatures and then cold. And
I know.
then we had some really, really nasty weather, and then we had some really nice temperatures, and now
Yeah.
it's cold again. And
Last week was really nice.
yeah, but somebody dropped the freezer on us.
I know. Was that you?
It wasn't me.
I need to put in my order for
Wasn't me.
nicer weather.
Trust me, it was not. Nope, had nothing to do with that.
Okay. I guess I'll believe you.
Like I have nothing to do on the annual meeting of it being 107 in the shade. I
And
have
sometimes
nothing
it
to do
is.
that. Yes,
It's been that way. It's been rainy and cold and hot
Yeah,
and
well, it's
steamy.
been a little bit, and every now and then we get one of them absolutely perfect days.
Yeah.
But speaking of annual meeting, hey,
We're having it again this year.
yay!
That's the plan anyway.
That's the plan.
Yep. The last 2 years we've had the drive up meeting over across from the headquarters office, and majority of our votes were mail-in votes. We did make that really easy. We had those in the Rural Missouri magazine, but the plan is to be back to an in-person annual meeting this June. So it's scheduled for the last Friday in June. I think that's like the 24th this year. And
Haven't looked that far ahead.
yeah, I
Yes.
have, but but I don't remember.
But you don't
I
remember
believe
the
it's the
exact date.
24th.
Yeah.
This upcoming issue of the Rural Missouri, there's going to be a crafter application
Exactly,
in
and they need to get that in because May 1st is the deadline. And that
Right.
sounds a long way off, doesn't it?
there. It does, but Stan, the problem is prior to March or May 1st, those spots are all filled.
I know that.
They go-
You know that.
Yeah.
But they don't know
Yeah,
that. That's
so
why you don't wait.
Don't wait until the day before and then stop by the office and drop off your application. Those booth spaces are free, but they are limited, the space we've got over there at the park. So make sure if you want to showcase your goods, your stuff that you've made, and you want a spot to sell those, then you fill out that application. And then as it gets closer to annual meeting, we'll mail you a letter with some information about when you come, how to set up, where to enter, that kind of stuff.
You know, one of the things I'm sure this year, because there hasn't been one for 2 years, is there's probably going to be an overwhelming demand for the vendors and crafters, I'm thinking, because if they've been making items for the last 2 years, they've got an abundance to sell.
Right. And, Intercounty is not the only organization that has had to cancel events over the last couple of years.
Right.
So I think as we see more of these things start back up.
Reemerge?
Reemerge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Become Phoenix, rise from the dead.
Right, yeah. It's very colorful description there. But yeah, those booth spaces I'm sure will go pretty quickly. So make sure you fill out that application and get it in if you want to have space at annual meeting. Otherwise, as it gets closer, we'll share more information with you. We do have 2 directors that are retiring, so we'll have at least 2 races for, there's a director up for re-election from each of the 3 districts, but one of those districts, the director is seeking re-election, but 2 of the 3, they are stepping down.
it.
So we'll have a couple of new directors, and we'll need our members to vote on that.
Yes, we will.
There's going to be a couple of bylaw changes. I don't have all the details on those, but there's going to be some proposed changes. So we'll start sharing that information with you as it becomes available, and we'll talk about it some more. But for right now, just pencil us in last Friday in June, June
You can pretty
20.
well pin it in. It's not going to change.
Yeah.
It's still
Friday,
gonna be
June
annual
24th.
meeting. Yep. Annual
Well,
meeting.
it may. I'm hoping they don't have to change it back to the drive up, but
No. We're not doing that. We're not reverting. No,
Yeah.
no. We did that last year.
We
Still
did.
Going to have it, and we're not going to have it. No, we're not doing that.
I know. We're toying
Anyway,
with
but
this.
my point I was going to make mention of is that you mentioned a couple directors who are retiring. I don't think they get enough credit for the work that they do, because those directors really do a good job. They take a lot of pride in what they do, but they're always looking at the members and making sure that everybody is getting the best service possible. And when it's time to retire or just kick back a little bit, it's time to do that. But I just want to tip my cap to them because they really do an outstanding job. Somebody say, "Oh, well, so they're just directors." Yeah, well, they're directors. They're overseeing all that. And they're making a lot of decisions that you don't
Right.
even know about, and a lot of those
The
have
big
benefited.
decisions.
Yeah, and a
Yeah.
lot of them have benefited a lot of members over the years that they may not even know.
Right. Yeah.
So let's tip our cap to them. Anybody that serves in those capacities, it's a tough job.
It is. It is. And, you've got 9 directors that represent 24,000 members. It's a lot of different
It's a good
opinions.
representation. Let's see, 9 into 24,000.
I'm just saying the calls that they get that we don't even know about.
Right.
That is a lot of work.
It is.
And there's a lot of
It's over
appreciation there.
2,700 people for each person.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
And I'm sure they have different opinions on a lot of different things. So,
You probably hear some of those anyway.
I do, but our directors do a great job of wanting to represent our membership as a whole, and they do listen to the concerns of our members and have to take those into consideration when they make decisions, sometimes unpopular decisions for the co-op. We're coming into getting close to April. April 1st, we've got a rate adjustment.
Oh my gosh, not that.
I know we talked about that a little bit last month,
we
but
did.
several years ago, that was something that the board had a very serious conversation about is our rate structure where we want it to be? And if it's not, how do we change it to get it to where we think it would be best for the co-op and for the members? And I say little decisions, something that might seem as little as, should we do this all at once or should we stretch it out over multiple years? They have a lot to take into consideration, and using the rate adjustment, for example, they did. They took a lot of different concerns into consideration, and they decided that changing that rate structure so that it's heavier on service availability, but to cut back the kilowatt hour charge at the same time, trying to keep it revenue neutral, trying to keep it fair for all members, but making it so that the co-op is financially stable. I mean, that takes some planning, and for 9 of them to talk and to agree, and
Sure. Oh, there was
it's a lot more work.
conversation. I guarantee
yeah,
you.
it's a lot more work than what people think.
What you're right on, spot on with that, because it does take a lot of deliberation, number one. And then there's options that they have. Do we want to do this? Do we want to do this? Do we want to do this? Which is the best for the members? And give those directors a lot of credit, because no matter what decision they're going to make, somebody's not going to be happy.
Absolutely.
With
yeah.
that. But they, as you mentioned, they need to do it for the future of the co-op and for the members that are involved. And so what's going to work out best for the members, as you made mention, revenue neutral, cost neutral. It's expense neutral, too. It doesn't change for the member that much. As you mentioned, we'll just talk a little bit about that rate adjustment now. The service availability charge is going to edge up just a little.
Right.
And the usage, the amount you use, that service cost will go down just a little.
Right.
So basically, if you don't change anything, you probably won't notice much.
Right. And our average member, it's just going to be a few cents different. But for the member who uses a lot of kilowatt hours, they're going
Right.
to see a savings on their bill. For members, let's go the exact opposite
They use
extreme.
none.
Let's say they have a meter and they use 0 kilowatt hours.
Right.
They're going to see a $1.50 increase over the course of a month. That's going to be the extra on their bill because it's 5 cents a day extra on their.
Why would you have a meter if you don't use it?
Well, I mean, some.
I know you're
yeah,
you're using the extremes, but which is a good idea.
Right. So hopefully this is something, and we've shared it with our members for the last several months. We're certainly not trying to surprise anyone with this, but we want everyone to be prepared that there is a rate adjustment, and more than likely it's not going to really affect your bill in any way that we would notice. But even for those extreme situations, those members who have a meter and use 0, the difference is not going to be, it's not going to have a huge impact on their pocketbook because you're looking at $1.50. But little changes like this, then you might ask, well, why even change it? And something we've shared over the past several years, but I'll reiterate, is that they're trying to set the rate structure in such a way that it's not affected by weather extremes. And, last February was really, really cold. And
You remember that?
I do remember that. I hated it.
Oh, well,
yeah.
You had really strong feelings
I
about it. It
do.
wasn't just
I know. I'm
it
not
was
a
cold,
winter.
and you hated it.
I did hate it. I'm not a cold winter. I'll probably be one of those people that move
Be a
to the
snowbird
beach
here.
when yeah, that'll probably be me. But at any rate, some really high electric bills, and that creates a lot of revenue for the co-op. And we're not for profit. We're not interested in making money. We're going to return it if we make more than what we need anyway. But then let's say there was a really mild winter. It might make money a little tight, and we need cash flow to be able to pay for the expenses that the co-op has. And if we have a month where usually that's spring and fall, but if there's not a whole lot of usage, then there's not a whole lot of revenue coming in, and maybe a lot came in February, but it helps the co-op's finances to not depend on weather, to not have those weather fluctuations make such a big impact on cash flow at the co-op.
As you well said, weather can be devastating, and we kind of got a little bit lucky here with that last system that
We
came
did.
through. They
We
talked
absolutely
about
did.
anywhere from a quarter inch to a half inch of ice, and that would have been just not good.
Yeah.
But that's a weather situation that's uncontrollable. But when you mention about that kind of devastation, though, that could bring down 50, 100, 250 poles, whatever. Heather, I can tell you honestly, I know when the city of Salem bids out poles, it used to be, well, they could get poles like $18 to $22 each. That's not the case
No,
anymore.
I don't know
They're
how
more like
much-
$250 to $300 each. So it's a big difference, and there's nothing you can do about it. You've got to replace the pole. You got to replace the pole. So if it snaps or breaks, wires, getting insulated wire right now, good luck.
I was going to say,
It's
not just the cost, but the
Availability,
supply, the
right.
availability. Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things out there that, thank goodness, this didn't hit, because it could have actually dwindled the supplies of Intercounty down to virtually nothing. So if another one would have hit, you're really in a critical situation. And I know the co-ops work together to help each other out when possible, but they can't give all their supplies away because something could hit them as well.
Right.
So one of the things when you start talking about, profits and things of that nature, there's profits, but that's why you get your capital credits back 5, 10, 15 years back, because in case something happens the next year or 2 or 3, they've actually got that money. They can actually go, and if they have to replenish supplies, if they have to go do this, get maybe the cost of poles, the cost of insulators, maybe the cost of that wire has gone from maybe $3,000 for that spool of 10,000 feet to $20,000. Some might say that won't happen. Wrong.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate with our FM translator to get the spool of wire I did when I got it, because right now you still can't get that insulated wire right now for
Really?
radio stations. They've got people that are waiting, and they said they will let them know within 3 months if it'll be available this year.
So they don't even have a guarantee it'll be this year.
Now with all the stuff going on in Ukraine, it's just,
Yeah.
and now the gas prices. So even if they have it available, the shipping cost, because that wire is very heavy, is going to be just out of sight. And so, everything plays off everything else, but you just can't, say, well, we don't want to charge our members. We don't want to make a profit and get that money back to our members right away. That's the goal. You don't really want to make a big profit off your members. But you still have to retain those
Right.
those
We don't
dollars.
want to have to borrow money at high interest at a cost for our members if we
Exactly.
can
So
use the.
there's
yeah.
a good strategic plan. Again, those directors do a tremendous job with this, and they would look at things and they analyze things. When they authorize the capital credits, that's great. And everybody loves it because they get a check. I don't know who doesn't want a check,
right.
except for those people that don't call Intercounty and let them
They're
know
on
who
the
the new
list.
address is.
Yeah.
So I have a solution that they could all just send them to me.
Okay, we'll share that with the directors. We'll see what they say.
Well, I don't know about the
I
directors.
think they may make a smart decision on that
You
on
think?
behalf of the co-op.
You don't think that'll happen?
I don't think that'll happen. I mean, you can ask.
How about the KSMO Relief Fund?
You just made that up.
I did, but I could start one tomorrow if I had to. No, but everybody should get the idea. The idea is that you want to be cautious. They want to be frugal, But at the
Right.
same time, they have to be business conscious that these things can happen.
That's right.
You know, we could have another derecho. Remember what happened at derecho?
Yeah, we had outages, outages. Yeah,
We don't want another one of those. So, anyway, hopefully we won't. But every time Mother's Day comes near, I start to cringe.
you have flashbacks.
I have. I mean,
2009.
well, we had
Was
a
that
flood on
2009?
Mother's Day, and we had a derecho on Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah.
In 2 out of 4 years that happened. I'm like, I don't think so. That's so cool. Yeah. But anyway, give our directors a tip of the cap. The adjustment will go into effect April 1st.
Yes. So you'll see that change on your May bill because those rates will be changed April 1st, as you mentioned.
Now, just because you have a little savings on your usage doesn't mean you want to just go and buy a pool, an electrified fence, and everything else just to see, man, I'm saving money on my usage. Well, if you triple your usage, I bet you won't be saving money.
Yeah. I mean, anytime, we've talked about this before, anytime you plug in something extra, it's going to use more, which is going to cost more. Now, there are situations where you've decided it's worth it. You know, you mentioned the pool. If you and your family have decided you're going to put in a pool, that's fine. That's great, and I hope your family enjoys it.
Or an ice skating rink in the backyard.
That may not work well in the summer months, but okay.
Well, it won't, but in the winter months,
Yeah.
like you said, you
Yeah.
love the cold so much, you'd have been out there
No,
every
right.
night.
No, I would not. I'll watch from the window. But a couple things with pools, and go ahead and talk about it. We'll talk about it as it gets closer to summer too, but make sure you're hooking those up safely, that you've got the GFCI outlets outside, you're not operating anything that's plugged in. Please don't drag the radio next to the pool. You know, just be mindful that water and electricity do not mix, but also just be mindful of how much those can use. And Stan, make sure we talk about this every year, but those pumps,
Oh, gosh.
they
go
use
all the time.
They use a lot, and they run all the time, and they need to in order to keep it clean. If you're gonna use the pool and enjoy it, which we would hope that you would if you're putting that in, that pump's going to run all the time, and
That's
it's
right.
going to cost extra. So
Well, if you want your water clear, it will.
yeah. So just kind of prepare yourself for the additional usage because it will increase your electric bill.
It will. And so, be cognizant of that
Mm-hmm.
fact. But as we get closer and closer to that season, and it just reminds everybody that we did have some extremely cold days this year.
Mm-hmm.
Ice did form on a lot of lakes, including Lake of the Ozarks, was frozen over.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
I
when you
saw
got
some
Lake of the
pictures,
Ozarks
yeah.
frozen over, that's a big old lake
Yeah.
with a lot of current to it. And people say, no, there's not. Yeah, there's a river at the other end of that, remember? There's current all the way through that thing. And when that thing freezes, ice tends to expand.
It does.
And when it expands and you have an electrical outlet on your dock that's hard mounted on there and it's all sealed up and stuff, ice doesn't care.
No.
It just goes right up against it and it'll pop that sucker and you won't even know it. Then when it gets nice and warm again, the water goes down, you don't even know there's damage. Check those outlets if you have them on a dock, your light switches, all your electrical connections there, because the ice doesn't have to be right there. If you've got your wires coming underneath the dock going into the ground, and all of a sudden your dock is lifted 5 to 7, 8, 10 feet. It does happen when we get floods. It does happen when the ice will lift it, or the ice will get on in the actual line where the wires might be. If you got a little leak in there, you get in there and it'll pop that sucker.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in the water right there. You don't want your kids jumping off the dock because it's first time out in June. Yay! You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And not a good thing. We've seen that happen in
We
the
have,
past, and that
we
has
have.
been disastrous. So we're not really in that time of the season, but be aware of it, and that includes around your own home. If you have, let's just say, a lot of people like to have these fountains.
Oh, good example.
Okay, the fountains are good. Hopefully you got them winterized. Hopefully you got them
Right.
winterized. If you have not, and you go to plug that in, and you had left water in there, it may cause a short, and you may not be aware of that. And even though the pump might work, there still may be a short there, and all of a sudden You go take a look at your electric meter and you're getting the wind blown in your face as it's flying around.
Yeah. Electric and water.
Don't mix.
No. And there are situations, you talk about the fountains, but especially boat docks where you've got outlets or switches. Have them checked. It's just, you mentioned we've seen where there have been children or even adults that jump into the water off a dock and it's not been checked, and it's tragic, and we don't want to see that happen to any of our members.
Wow.
So please just have those outlets, those junction boxes, have those checked out. It's worth it. Peace of mind.
Right. And even if you have the ground fault interrupt, doesn't mean that if the wire got busted, that's not going to work, because it's before it ever gets to your plug. So you always want to make sure. Just have an electrician check it. Just make sure it's grounded. He can go check that at your circuit box, and you can put a real quick look on there. And if it's grounded, then you're good to go. And if it's not grounded, you need to go find it.
Right.
Before anybody gets out there. So
It's
safety.
It's a quick check to keep you and your family safe.
Right. If you know how to check it yourself, then great. Just make sure it's grounded before. And I know we all get excited when it gets nice and warm and everybody starts just thinking boat and water and swimming and
Right.
it's going to do this and stuff. We don't really think about the safety aspect of it because we don't remember that it was 18 below zero in February for 7 straight days.
Yeah.
Unless you were out in it.
Right. Well, and you just don't correlate that extreme cold to the potential of a safety
Right.
hazard at your
Boat dock.
boat dock in the summer.
And more than likely you weren't out there.
Right.
Because you would not have been out there.
I would
Heather
not have-
not have
would
been out
not
there,
have
and
been
she would
out
not have
there.
been ice skating, and she would not have been doing any of that.
No.
However, maybe her children might have been,
Yeah.
but that's different, though.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, again, safety is a big thing. All right, so we're done with that. What's March mean? March means no more junior essay contest. I need some numbers.
I know.
Do you have numbers for me, girl?
I have names and numbers,
Names
actually.
and numbers. Whoa.
So we had all
310.
all except for 2 schools
What?
have 3 essays. Kabul and Salem. I know you're gonna be so disappointed. 1 student
What?
here at Salem, only 1 student wrote the essay. It's disappointing. I can't.
Well, they
help
had
it.
plenty of time because they weren't in school most of the month.
They did have a lot of time. Every
I think
other
that's a big
school
problem.
had 3 essays. I mean, they could have had more, but we received the top
Right.
3. But Kabul and Salem, they did. They were our only 2 schools that had fewer than 3. So hopefully better next year. But kudos to the students that did
Sure,
write it. I mean,
absolutely.
speaks volumes to them. So I realize that people listening may not know 95% of these names, but I'd like to go ahead
Can
and
I
announce
submit
them.
mine?
For
Salem?
Salem, I know I'm like, can I write it? I'll write an essay.
Yeah,
I'll do an
you
interview.
do Kabul, I'll do Salem.
Okay, that works. I think we've got some other employees that would take that third
yeah.
spot too. But I'm just going to read down through here. If you recognize any of these students' names, please join us in congratulating them because it is an optional essay. It's not something that they have to do. They've taken the extra time, although it shouldn't have taken too much time, to write an essay and participate in this contest. And it's encouraging to see these students doing that little bit extra. And I think they're going to see the benefits of that this summer after they're able to go on the trip, either one, to DC or Jeff City, because they're great experiences. So here we go. St. James, we had Navy Setzer, Jason Wilkerson, and Jake Wilson. In Houston, we've got Andy Durham, Madison Reed, and Delaney Rowland. From Kabul, Lily Frisbee. From right here in Salem, we've got, and I may not pronounce this right, Marcellus Abrams. Summersville is Jaden Briggs, Alyssa Pfeiffer, and Amy Yearwood. Up in Rolla, we've got Oscar Chang, Alexander Chin, and Ella Kuhlman. Plato is Nolan Fitzsimmons, Sarah Shipley, and Destiny Miller. Down in Mountain Grove, we've got Shannon Barb, Reagan Horning, and Emily Perkins. And finally in Licking, we've got Gracie Elledge, Aubrey Tillery, and Madison Lane.
Very good. Congratulations to all those students.
Yeah.
Wish them the very best.
Do you recognize, did I totally butcher the student's
I think
name?
you're right.
Marcellus.
Yeah,
Marcellus Abrams. Yes. So we appreciate all those students and them taking the time to write an essay that we came and talked to them about. And
Big distraction this year with the snow and ice, though. you
yeah,
know.
there were a lot of missed days from school from the time that we spoke to the students and when the essays were turned in. So we do realize that that may have had a factor on it. But
I'm sure. But the other schools weren't in either.
yeah.
Most of them weren't.
Yeah. These are all high school juniors. If you have a sophomore, please just make a mental note next year.
No,
Their
put a note, paste it on the refrigerator.
Yes, and we talk about it a lot, and we'll have it in the paper, and we'll be in the schools talking to the kids. But please, just if you have a sophomore, like I said, make a mental note. Next year, your student will be eligible, and the competition is not great. So there's really good odds that your student could write a very short essay on a fairly simple topic. This year, we asked them to write about ways they could save energy at home. As we'd mentioned before, 250 to 500 words, short essay, and they could win a trip to DC or to Jeff City. We're excited to send the students back this year. We talked last month and the month before that obviously there'll be some changes in what and how we do what we do out there, but trying to get back to as normal as possible. Get the kids out to the Capitol. Let them see our history. Let them experience that patriotism. I mean, it's a really unique experience, and personally, I'm really glad that we're getting them back out there.
Well, yeah. We're in some semblance of normal, not quite back there yet.
Right.
But getting closer and closer and closer. But again, take the Gorilla Glue this time and put the note and stick it on their bulletin board so they can't pull it back off. You know?
Yeah.
So if you've got a sophomore, you don't want them to forget.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity. Wish this opportunity had been around when I was young.
Yeah.
It would have been fantastic. I'd have filled it out.
Yeah.
I'd have done it in a heartbeat. 250 words, 500 words. Come on.
Very short. We had some
Maybe
really good
yeah.
essays. We had some
Not so good essays.
We had some very common ideas on ways you could save at home, which was to be expected. You know, turn off the lights when you're not in the room and things
Shut the
of that
meter off
nature.
for the base.
No, we didn't have any of those, thankfully. That would have been Stan's essay. That's called meter tampering. But we had some unique ideas
Not
shared.
changing the meter. I'm just shutting the electric. I can't shut the electric off at the circuit box.
There you go. Then you use nothing. You save a lot.
You save a lot.
Yeah.
Your house is cold and your
Yeah.
pipes are frozen.
not
but you
convenient.
saved electricity.
Yeah.
And you won the essay.
Right.
So after the $25,000 of damage you did to the house,
Plumbing bill.
you get to
yeah.
go on the trip. And
Your parents would be so
parents
proud.
are not very happy about that one, I'm pretty sure. But the idea is that this is it's a minimal effort.
Right.
I guess the hardest part would be just jot down your ideas. They don't have to be extraordinarily unique ideas, especially on this topic. Now, next year's topic, I'm sure you're going to come up with something extremely creative.
I always do, don't I?
This one was pretty easy.
It was easy.
Yeah.
We've come off a couple of years of not great participation. So the thought there was, let's get them back into it. Let's get them back writing. And ways to save energy at home is helpful. We want to get their minds thinking that way because we share energy efficiency tips with adults. And if we can get the teenagers on board too, a lot of times they are big users in the home. We want to see them know how to save energy as well. So hopefully if they hadn't thought about it before, maybe they're a little bit more mindful. And I doubt the parents will be upset with that unless they're like turning off the
Right.
breakers.
Or you could say, should Intercounty have a cartoon identifying figure to go with their
like our
moniker,
our
Touchstone Energy
Willie
Cooperative?
Wire hand. I miss the Willie Wire hand.
Yeah. So, I mean, something like that. Should they go back to something like that? Use it as a marketing tool?
Yeah. Maybe they could come up with one.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Should they? Maybe that should be a good question. Should they have something like that? Would that reach younger people a little bit more than just the 3-pronged touchstone energy
Yeah.
symbol?
The Three Amigos.
Yeah. That's
Those-
I didn't recall them the Three Amigos, but
Yeah.
I
They're
see your point.
They're three.
Yeah,
they're
three guys.
Three little guys, and they
Yeah.
represent.
Or the Three Stooges.
They represent the board, the employees, and the members.
Better
of
go
co-op.
back to the Amigos then.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, don't call them stooges if they represent. we just tipped our cap to the directors.
Yeah. Well,
And we do have great
hey,
members.
Three Stooges were extremely smart and talented.
Yes, they were.
I know, but people
Yeah.
see them and they think, with what they did, they did that for 60 years.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
60 years, but then everything was choreographed and they scripted it. And amazing. Pretty much amazing. But get off that. I don't know about the Three Amigos. That was just a movie.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
No, but a lot of people don't know that. The Touchstone logo, the Three
Right.
Amigos, represent the board, the employees, and
I
the
didn't know
members
that.
of co-op.
I
Yep.
didn't know. So now
Now you
you
know.
have educated so many people.
I know. They're thrilled with
And
that
now
little
they're
tidbit
gonna-
of knowledge,
well,
aren't they?
Well, they look at their magazine this year, or their rural Missouri, and they get there and they can look in there and see that.
Yeah.
See that emblem right there.
Yep.
It's very good. All right, very good. So we've got our essay contest done.
Right.
Now, those students that we just talked about will be
Interview.
attending an interview session at Intercounty, correct?
Right. Yep. The last Saturday in March, they're going to come. They will interview before a panel of 3 judges, and they'll be asked questions out of a question and answer booklet. And how well they do in the interview then determines if they'll be going to DC or to Jeff City. And DC trip is in June. Jeff City trip's in July. As I mentioned, super excited to be able to send the kids back. But last Saturday in June, they'll be doing their interview.
Very good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Wish we had more, but just 2 schools without 3.
Yeah.
Not ideal,
Right.
but we'll work on it. Next year we'll work on it.
Yeah. We're going to have to
Maybe we'll just capture
twist
some
somebody's arm.
juniors and put them in a room and tell them they got 20 minutes to come up with an idea, or we'll fill it with water or something crazy.
It's a little extreme. But
Or better yet, we just turn on this shock that we have. It's all hooked up with electric.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to save on electric? Here. Cheek. No.
Cruel and unusual punishment comes
Yeah,
to
just
mind.
maybe unusual. I don't know how cruel. I won't give them like 500,000 volts or anything. Maybe 5 or 6. Just give them a little ting. Let them know there.
And maybe we'll have a great group of sophomores this year that are just going to be really involved next year as juniors.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with that.
We'll go with that. Very good. All right. So that is a mission we have every year, is to get as many students as we possibly
That's
can
right.
to fill that out, because it is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You don't get a second chance. You can't
Yeah.
do it as a sophomore, can't do it as a senior. You can only do it as a junior. You definitely want to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Okay, so here we are in that transition stage, Heather. We had, last week, 70, almost 80 degrees.
I know.
Some people actually turn their air on.
Yes, they're switching from air to heat from one
Not-
week to the next.
Not this morning. They're back
No.
to heat, right?
Right.
But this is the next, not really today, obviously, but within the next few weeks, you're going to have some very mild weather. And this is the time to take a look around. Okay, what do we need to do with the furnace? What do we need to do? Change those filters out.
Right.
Maybe have it inspected. Make sure that the ductwork is not separated during the cold and hot. Little
Yep.
things like that. It will save you money
It will. Yep. We just
in the long run.
changed our filters this last weekend on our units, so
Are they really dirty?
they were dirtier than they should have been. Yeah. But
Because you know what's kind of crazy, when you have winter and they throw all the the gravel and things down, and you've got the cinders down and beet juice and whatever else they throw on the roads, and it all gets into your house, and you really don't even know you're carrying it in on your shoes and things.
right.
Then the next thing you know is you're trying to clean it up, but the remnants are in the air, and they get in
They
that
get sucked
filter,
in
and the next thing you know, you look at that filter and like, easy,
yeah,
how's that thing even breathing?
right. Yeah. And you want to make sure you have a filter in there.
Oh yeah,
You know,
got
we talk
one.
about changing the filters and taking out those dirty ones, but it's important to make sure you get a clean one pop back in there because you don't want all of that. You know, you're talking about all those remnants. You don't want those in your unit and causing damage. I mean, that's going to affect not only the quality, but how long that unit's going to last.
Yeah.
They're not cheap. You want to keep them operating as efficiently as they can for as long
Well,
as they
you're
can.
not kidding. They're not cheap.
I know.
They're getting more expensive all the time.
Yeah.
Especially right now, it's hard to get metal.
Oh,
Stuff.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Valid point.
Very, very, very hard to get. So again, definitely want to make sure to check those filters,
Yep.
but also prepare. Go around, check around your house. Check for those leaks. When it starts to get warm enough, get the caulk gun out. You know, go around those windows, see if you can feel anything. Maybe have somebody outside use a blow dryer, you know, and go around the windows and see if you can feel any air coming through. And if you can, re-caulk that thing.
Yeah,
Do the job you need to do. It just takes one day.
it does. And little things like that, they do. I mean, maybe it's not a noticeable difference on your electric bill, but sitting in the chair next to the window, you're going to be much more comfortable.
You'll notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the wintertime when that cold air comes in, what's the
Mm-hmm.
first thing you do when you start to get a chill in that chair? You go turn the heat up.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you'll grab a blanket, but if it's always like a cold chill,
Mm-hmm.
more likely you're going to turn that heat up maybe a degree, maybe two, but it's going to increase your usage. Another thing is thresholds on your doors.
Yeah. Those wear out
They
over
do
time.
wear out. So you need to make sure you take a look at them. Some are actually on the bottom of the door. Some are actually in the threshold itself on the
Right.
bottom. Sometimes there's a rubber strip that goes there. That goes up against the bottom of your door. And over time, when you have, you know, little children running in and out with baseball spikes and things of that nature and their bicycles and things through your doors and
Yeah.
whatever else they carry, you never know.
Right.
But they do wear out. And once they do wear out, you need to replace that. Don't just ignore it because
Yeah. Right.
as soon as the wind blows on that door, you're going to feel it. Hot or cold air. It doesn't make any difference.
Right. And sometimes you can visually see when those need to be
You
changed.
mean when the curtain moves?
Well, that or, you know, if the lights are off in the house and you can see daylight, the bottom crack,
Wow.
you know, that. And a lot of times our members, they realize these are things they need to change. It's not that it's this information they never knew before, but I used to work with the gentleman that did energy audits, and we would go to people's houses, and they would tell us a lot of times, they would point out the areas. Can you check around this door because that seal's not good? How much air's coming in through there? Well, you could see, visually you could
Yeah,
see
see right outside.
that the threshold just needed to be replaced and to confirm, yeah, look at this infrared picture. Look
Right.
at the cold that's
But
here.
a lot of people didn't know you can replace a threshold without having to buy a whole new one and then
Right.
replace it. And they may not have those skills.
Right.
Because a lot of thresholds, okay, if it's a 36-inch door, 36-inch thresholds, they're pretty easy to find. But if it's a 34-inch door and you have to cut it,
That's extra work.
that may be something that
And-
you may not want to do
and it
because you
gets-
got to cut that rubber piece as well.
Right. It gets put on a to-do list and doesn't always get around to
Still
being
sitting
done.
in the garage.
Yeah. So the window that you sit next to that's a little bit cool, you probably know it needs some caulking work around it. The door that you feel the draft around, the threshold or the weather stripping needs to replace. I mean, a lot of these things are things you probably, as we sit here and talk about these things, you know that, oh yeah, I need to do that. Just pick a day, like Stan said, when it starts to get a little bit warmer, pick a day, a morning, afternoon, whatever it is, and just kind of knock some of those out. And you'll feel better having marked some of those things off that to-do list, and your home will be more efficient because of it.
You know, you can't really use caulk till it's over 55 degrees. So,
Right.
But don't use it if it's just 55. Make sure it's like 65.
You want it to sit up.
Because it'll be nicer for it to sit up. Because it'll get cold that night under 40, and it's not going to do you a lot of good.
Right.
The one of the things, though, unfortunately, we are all humans, and out of sight, out of mind. So right in the
Absolutely.
middle of winter when it's really cold and you feel that, obviously you can't fix it. So it's springtime now and it's warmer and we're not having a lot of wind and it's just 60 degrees. It's perfect. And I don't feel any wind, so it must be fixed.
Right. Out of sight, out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
You forget about that. We don't write it down. We don't make I won't say a mental note, but we don't make a physical note about where we feel that cold air coming in so that we can make it plan for a day, just like you're saying, and go around and do those things.
Right.
And go get the necessary threshold. Go get the caulk. Go
Right.
get the little caulk remover tool that you can go in there and scrape the old caulk out and put the new caulk in. All those little things, they do take a little time and they do take a little effort, but you got to put that reminder somewhere because guarantee you when that weather gets nice, the first thing you're thinking is picnic, not work.
Right. You're wanting to get down to the boat dock.
Ooh, yeah, that or just out to the playground with the
Yeah.
kids or, maybe play a little tennis out there, get out there and start throwing the ball around.
Right.
Whatever it is, it probably does not include caulk.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe some picnics do include caulk, but it's not my kind of picnic.
Well, like you said, if you don't have that actual note, or if you go and pick up the supplies, maybe it's the threshold that you need to replace. If you go and buy it and leave it, and,
Right in front of the front door.
and hopefully you don't become complacent to it and it just gets pushed to the side. But, something like that, that is a physical reminder every time.
It is.
If it's there, you see it, and hopefully you'll get it replaced. But whatever it is you got to do, put a reminder on your phone, something.
Yeah.
Just don't forget to do those little
Right.
things.
Don't stack it up so high you just start throwing clothes over it.
Yeah,
You don't
you
realize.
don't- it's not a coat rack.
But neither is your exercise equipment either that you got in the back, and it probably is
Yeah.
too. We all do that. It's unfortunate we stop using something, or we need to hang something up after we're out in the rain or something like that. You throw it on something.
Yeah.
You forget it's there. You go back, and then it's dry now, but you forgot all about what was underneath it. So, yeah, I definitely want to make sure we do that. That's some good advice there, Heather. Just don't cover up the things you need to get done, or push them
Don't
under
hide
the
the
chair.
pile.
But yeah, make sure you leave it out there. And it's just a good way to do it. Put that note on the refrigerator right now. If you know you need to do it, just do it. Just put it on there. Check for leaks. Check for air. Don't forget threshold under the door, furnace, whatever you need to put on that note. Just do it and attach it to the refrigerator. I'm sure you'll be looking in there sooner or later.
Eventually, yeah.
Very quickly, I would think so. All right, very good. What else you want to talk about?
I don't have a whole lot else to talk about. We can talk about Roundup for just a minute.
What do you mean you don't have a lot to talk about?
Well, we talked about annual meeting. We talked about
did.
boat dock safety. We've talked about the rate adjustment. We've talked about youth tour. Am I forgetting something
no,
big?
I don't think you're really forgetting anything, but goodness gracious. Well, one thing I'm going to make mention of, and it just comes to me because we were very fortunate to do this, is Intercounty Electric has ways to help your business prosper. And a lot of people say, well, I don't know anything about this. You may not. They have a revolving loan fund. They also work with bigger grants, I will say, if you want to do that, CDBGs that you can get. And some of those are very good interest rates, like 0. That's a very good interest
That
rate.
is a 0, 1. Those are
0
are
is a great interest rate.
Yeah.
And if you borrow $10,000, you pay back $10,000. I like that.
Yeah.
But in some cases, even a revolving loan fund is just 1%. So if you need a little help with your business, or let's just say, and that does not just include for intercounty customers. That could even be for city customers.
That's correct.
Intercounty opens that up to everybody. And, I know Tony and I have talked about it, but Heather, people don't see Intercounty and we're not a bank.
As a lender.
Yes, they don't see that. And they just I don't think they understand it. It's not extremely hard to get the loan, and you have to fill out a few things. You got to have a business plan. You got to present things to them. Obviously, they want to make sure that you're not taking the $10,000 and heading off to Cuba.
Right. Right.
Make cigars. Maybe that's your plan.
Maybe
Bring
it
back
is.
illegal Cuban cigars.
Oh,
But
no.
that may not get approved.
Yeah.
But again, if it's a legitimate business opportunity for your company that you want to expand into, or if you need something to, maybe you need new machinery, just can't afford it. Or you can afford it, but it's going to take all your working capital. And in these times right now, you don't want to jeopardize not having it. Get in touch with Intercounty, talk with Tony Floyd, and he can give you the details about the different types of loans that are available through Intercounty. And I think I just don't understand why people don't take as much advantage of it as they should. But then again, maybe they're just not aware.
Right. And it is something that we probably should talk about more often. But you talked about people don't see Intercounty as a lender, and we're not a bank. But we're different than other businesses. We are a co-op. We're not for profit. We're for our members. We're interested in growing our communities. It's in everyone's best interest. So if we can help any way in economic development, grow a business, bring in a business, that adds employment, that adds growth to our local communities. If we can aid in that, that's wonderful. We want to be a part of that. We want to help. We want to help in that aspect. So yeah, as you mentioned, get a hold of Tony. He's our economic developer there at the co-op, and talk to you about some loan opportunities or, something else that we have available for our businesses that we haven't touched on in a long time is our business lighting, our rebate program for business lighting. And
but you have to be an Intercounty customer.
you do have
for
to
that
be an
one.
Intercounty member for that.
Yeah.
But lighting is one of those, it's a big user
It
for
is.
businesses. And if you can change to more efficient lighting, you are going to see a drastic.
Right. We'd love to do it here, but we're not an Intercounty customer here.
Right. And so
We
you're
are
going
an
to.
Intercounty customer, though, and I tried to tell him we
I
already
know.
are.
I know. Tony, he wouldn't take it, would he?
He wouldn't do it,
I
no.
know.
He said there's some red tape.
I know. Can you believe that?
No, I couldn't.
You're in the city and you can't get the intercounty rebate. We'd have a lot of people asking. But, should you replace it, even without the rebate, lighting is just one of those things that you're going to see a savings down the road because you immediately start using less when you
Right.
put in more efficient lighting. And hopefully that business lighting rebate program for our businesses on Intercounty system, that'll help encourage them to switch over that lighting to something more efficient.
Absolutely. So if you have any questions about that, just call Intercounty and ask for Tony Floyd.
That's correct.
What is that number?
The
We
number
haven't even said it yet.
we haven't, I know. So toll free is 866-621-3679. And as Stan mentioned, just ask for Tony if you're a business owner, and he can talk to you about all things
Right.
business.
And he's in town a lot. And he can just come by and swing by, drop off the information. I mean, the application's one page. One page.
It's not difficult.
Actually, I think it's a page
Is it
and a
a-
half because you have to
is
have a
it front
signature.
and back?
Yeah, but it's really pretty simple. However,
Yeah.
there are things that they require on there that's going to be more than that. But one page application, so
Yeah.
isn't too hard to do. Now, again, you got to have a business plan. You're going to have to provide financials, obviously, and if you're new business starting up, you just have to ask Tony what they're going to need.
Yeah.
And just see what they need to move forward. So again, it's really easy to do. Doesn't take very long, and it doesn't take very long to get an answer either. That's the neat thing too. You get an answer pretty quick, especially
Yeah.
the revolving loan fund. That one gets answered pretty quick. The CDBG, they got to go through some federal competition there to
there's
get
some
that
hoops
one.
to
That's
jump through.
usually
Yeah.
500,000, 250,000.
Those are bigger.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if you're looking for 10, 20, 30,000, just do the revolving loan fund. It's 1% interest. One. Can you see that?
I was going to say, I don't think they can see you holding
They
up your
should be
finger.
able to say it one. So if you want a good interest rate and you want a quality loan and you're going to need it for your business to survive or maybe to expand, get in touch with Tony. It's that easy.
It
It's
is
just that
easy.
easy. All right. The only other thing that I had that I wanted to bring up at this time is because this is a time that just the winds start to pick up a little bit, that kids like to fly kites. We don't talk about this very often, but kids get out there in April, March, April, winds start to pick up. And you start to see the kites go up in the air. Maybe not as much as you used to, but still you see them. And when the kites go up in the air, I guarantee you two things that they hit. One is trees, but the other is power lines.
hopefully they're not hitting power lines.
But they are, because when the wind gusts, it just blows the kite. It's hard to control a kite, even with a great tail and everything else that you have. And even with today's better handles and things of that nature, a wind gust can just blow your kite into an area you don't want it to be in. And you're trying to reel it back in, and you're right over power lines or something of that nature. We try and avoid that at all possible. But if your kite gets in a power line, drop that wire, drop that string, get it out. You don't know. You just don't want to take chances. But it's something that we see all the time. And then people decide they want to get a ladder up there and they want to take it down.
Oh, no. So a couple things here. First of all, always be aware of where your overhead power lines are at. They're one of those things you kind of become complacent to them because they're just always there. Even in your own yard, you don't always think to look up. But we want to encourage you to be mindful of where those overhead power lines are so that you don't plant right underneath them. You're not building underneath them. Talk about getting a ladder. If you're going to have to get up on top of a structure, that you're not getting close to those. Where trees are at, existing trees. We talk about kids flying kites, but they also climb trees.
Yep.
Be mindful of where those overhead power lines are because you don't want them climbing trees that are hopefully they're not in the power line. If they are, you need to call us and let us know. But yeah, kites, I don't think we see them as much.
Right.
But absolutely, if you're, I think Easter time seems to be like they end up in Easter baskets a lot. So if you're thinking about
Easter's late this year.
If you're thinking about getting a kite for your kid or a niece or nephew, please, grandkid, whatever, just make sure that you're watching out where they're flying it.
And it's a great gift.
It is. They're fun. And but make sure you're out in a field. That you're out. You're not near those power
Miller
lines.
Farm Field, but stay away from the power lines. But
Yeah.
that's another. And then the other thing I was going to bring up is it's also springtime when people start to plan where they want to plant things. Don't forget you don't want to call 911 when you can call 811. It's a lot easier. It's just one digit off, but it can save you a lot of trouble. But you want to find out where you can dig. That's number one. Number two, if you see, obviously you just mentioned it, you don't want to plant your nice, big, beautiful oak tree right underneath power lines. Yet, I still see people do it. Bushes, do not plant and try and hide the poles or your transformers with a nice array of gorgeous, very expensive, hydrangeas or whatever it might be that you put around there, because if they have to come in
and work on them,
they're going to be gone. So you want to make sure that you do things. If you have any questions about where you can plant around transformers and things of that nature, or what the recommended distance is from the box, please call Intercounty.
Absolutely, yeah. And 811, really great point. Actually, next month we're going to have some information about that in the magazine. I know you're on it, aren't you?
Gosh,
but
I didn't realize.
As much as we said, look up and be cognizant of where your overhead power lines are. If you're going to do any type of digging, whether it's a major project or something that you don't feel like is a very big deal, make sure you call 811. You can go to their website too and send in
information.
A request for those utilities to be marked, but you don't want to dig into one of those. And I've never heard the call 811 instead of having to call 911, but that's good.
Just one digit off.
Yeah, because you dig into the wrong type of utility line and
you can cut into a gas line, you can cut into an electric line, and you cut an electric line with a metal shovel that has metal on the handle for an older shovel.
Yeah.
You're going to find out it's not something you wanted to do.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want to be doing that stuff. So please don't. And especially if you use a backhoe and things of that nature in your property, and even though you said, I was here when they laid it down for my house, you might have been there, but probably now you've got trees in a yard that's sloped a little bit here and there.
They can shift.
You might be off by 2-3 feet. 2-3 feet can be a big problem.
Well, and maybe you're not doing all the work yourself. If you've got a contractor coming in, there's no charge for that. Just call, let somebody come out. They'll mark the utility lines. Make sure if you've got propane that you contact and have them come in and mark their lines. But
No, that's not part of the
It's not.
811.
No.
So if you
I'm
do
not
have
sure
propane,
why. I don't
I
understand.
don't
I
either.
don't understand that.
You would
But
think.
But just make sure that you're having those marked so that you know before you start any kind of digging project, whether you're doing it yourself or you're having someone else come in. If you're working with a shovel or backhoe, it doesn't matter. We just want to make sure you don't dig into any utility. It's easier to avoid doing that than it is to repair having done that.
Wow. A,
Yeah.
a word from experience, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully you didn't dig into one
No,
as a
I
child.
haven't. But
anyway,
we get calls
yeah.
from
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
members that have accidentally dug into stuff.
Yeah.
So
So again, 811, not 911. Do it right. And if you have any questions about where, especially because we know there's transformer boxes out there for underground lines. People might say, well, I'm just going to plant a rose bush or something. Okay, you can do that, but they just don't like that ugly green box in my yard.
right.
Well, guys,
You can't
kind
suffocate
of, it's
it.
kind of a necessity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you want to disguise it, I mean, you could put a fence up around it if you give them the distance that they need to get in there and do something. And then put your hedges, vines, whatever you want to, around the fence on the outside, not the inside.
Yeah.
So they can get into that box. Maybe put a little gate on it and they can get inside there. And of course, they have to dig the whole box up. They may take your whole fence down.
Yeah.
That doesn't usually
seems
happen.
like you're drawing a lot more attention to it
Yeah.
than
Well,
than
yeah,
just leaving it
but
alone.
I actually lived in a house where a guy did not like his propane tank visible, and he built a fence around it. Okay, that's fine, dandy, until you got to come in and fill it up.
Yeah.
Then he locked the gate. Not a real smart thing to do.
Yeah.
When they got to get the hose in there and fill it up. So I thought,
Yeah.
not very smart.
Yeah.
Then he took the back side of the fence down just so the front part was, so he didn't do anything. You still see the tank from the back of the house. So just don't worry about it. It's just part of your house.
Right.
I mean, some people
Right.
just don't like
don't
that.
like it.
They find it, I guess, unattractive, and that's a
Right.
personal choice. So whatever somebody does, but do call and find out what they recommend. If they say 10 feet away, then make it 10 feet away.
Yeah.
Don't make it 6 and cheat. See?
Don't be a cheater.
Let's see my tape measure. That's 10. That's a short 10.
Yeah.
Well, it is. But we always thank Heather for coming over and keeping us informed about what's going on. We hope you got something out of the program today. It is getting closer and closer to spring. We're not that far away from the annual meeting. Don't forget to keep that in mind. We'll be talking about all that information here in the next couple of months. But for vendors and crafters in this month's rural Missouri, they do have the sign-up form.
Yeah.
And that's
So fill it out and
fill
send
it out,
in.
send it in. Get it in ASAP. ASAP.
That's right.
ASAP. Sooner the better.
Yes.
It is first come, first serve, correct?
It is first come, first serve. So I think there's around 40 spots. I don't know exactly, but it's usually right around 40 spots that they mark off and they have available. So when they're gone, they're gone. Make sure you fill that out and send it in. We'll get you on the list. We'll get you a spot with your name on it.
There you go. You heard it from Heather. And the number to call if you have any questions about
anything,
virtually, vendors, crafters, anything with Intercounty, service, engineers, Tony Floyd and Economic Development. All you got to do is call this number and they will guide you in the right direction.
we will. That toll-free number is 866-621-3679.
But don't call that number if you want to pay your bill up to $11.59 tonight.
You could.
You
We
could.
have people that
Well,
do
you
that.
can actually pay it anytime 24/7. But don't forget, if you have forgot to pay your bill, you do have an option to pay it up till $11.59 the night it is due.
And we have a lot more members now than we did a year ago that are using this pay by phone line. It's our automated secure line. It is available 24/7. You enter your payment information on there, and that toll-free number is 888-678-1987. And if you call during the business day and you get someone, they'll transfer you to that number, but that'd be a good one to have stored in your phone as well.
Just have that there.
Yeah.
It is in rural Missouri, by the way.
It is.
It
Yep.
is in rural Missouri. Also, if you really want to get sophisticated and all techie and stuff like that, you can use your Smart Hub.
You can, and that's another one of those things that's really growing in popularity. Everybody's got an app, And Smart Hub is our app, and it's a great tool. You can access your account. You can view past bills, current bills, payment history. You can overlay your usage with weather data. Really great tool. Ways to contact the co-op are on there too. So if you do not have Smart Hub, you can download it to your phone or your device and access it through the app. But if you don't have a smartphone and you want to just access it through a computer, if you go to our website, ieca.coop, C-O-O-P, there's a little icon there. You can click to access your account, and you'll log into Smart Hub that way.
And it can store your credit card numbers. It can store
If you
your
want it to,
access
yep.
numbers if you want to pay that way.
If you want it
And
to.
also, don't forget if you want to print out a receipt, which is not a bad idea. You can't really do that off your phone, but you can store it in your phone if you want to store your receipt, but you can't really print it off your phone. But if you have it on your laptop or your desktop computer, you can go ahead and do that. Even a laptop, even tablets and stuff can Bluetooth it to a printer, things of that nature. Most phones don't do that very well, but still possible in some cases. However, you can go print that off for your records, and that way you know you paid your bill, you've got a receipt, and then you take your intercounty bill that you got in the mail or electronically, whichever you did, and then you staple them together, and then you know I've paid my bill. It's a good way of doing it. One thing we didn't talk about that you were going to talk about was Roundup, and this is the day for Roundup. And before we get out of here, I want to just mention that it's still one of the best programs that Intercounty ever thought of.
It is, yep. A little partial to Roundup, but it's a great program. It's our charitable organization. We've got 7 volunteer delegates that sit with that organization, and they review applications that come in all month long. Then they meet once a month, always the second Tuesday, same day as Radio Day here. And then those delegates meet and they go over those applications and they make decisions each month on which ones to fund, which ones, how to fund them, how they can help these families, these individuals, organizations, whomever it might be that applies. But a lot of good comes from the program, and it's funded by members like you and I that round our bill up to the next nearest dollar. And that spare change each month, which isn't a whole lot, will never be more than $1. If you're on levelized billing, it is a full dollar. Otherwise, it's going to average about 50 cents, but it could be anywhere from as low as a penny.
Minimum of 12 cents
a year
to a maximum
of $12 over the course of a year. Not a whole lot you or I could do to help someone in need, even with the full 12 bucks. No. Even with the full $12, there's not a whole lot you could do to help somebody. But we've got a lot of really great members with big hearts, and they round their bill up, and that spare change all goes together and really does make a difference, because that's the money then that these delegates have to work with, and they're able to help applicants with things like a rent or a mortgage payment, or maybe a prescription medication that they wouldn't otherwise have been able to get,
or a rash of bad luck.
Yes, a vehicle repair bill or a furnace repair bill. I mean, there's a ton of things that we've helped with before, but it's a really great program, and it's funded by our members.
And I'm sure they hear some very unique stories, and I know there's a situation close to home that I'm still, it's blowing my mind how many different things could go bad to one person in about a 3-month period of time.
And it happens.
It
happens more than we
happen.
like to think. And so if you're listening, maybe you're trucking along just fine, and I hope that that's the case. But if you reach a point where something has happened or multiple somethings have happened and you could just use a little bit of help, that's what Operation Roundup is there for. And maybe you're listening and you know someone that could use some help. Maybe they don't know about the program. If you could share that with them, maybe be an advocate for us a little bit, let them know that hey, Intercounty has a Roundup program. Have you thought about asking them for help? Or get an application for them and give it to them. I mean, it's an easy way for you to be able to help direct them in the right direction.
There's nothing wrong with admitting that you're under pressure.
No, not at
There's
all.
just nothing wrong with that. And nobody can control everything that happens in their lives. And if you can get a little assistance and see the light by emerging from it, I mean, when you're in the darkness all the time, it's really hard to get a very positive perspective of anything.
Right.
And how am I going to get out of this hole? And don't go get a payday loan and think you're going to climb out of it, because you're going to pay more in that payday loan in 5 months than you would if you borrowed against your house and paid it off in 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's just crazy. They're insane. But the one thing you don't want to do is just not do anything. Try and get some help. And this is it's just one great avenue for you to go. And you don't have to be an Intercounty customer.
Right. You just have to be within Intercounty's outermost boundaries. So, you know, if you were to take a look at a map that showed where Intercounty was at, even if you live within one of those cities that have their own city-owned utilities, you're still eligible. You know, we consider you our neighbors just like anybody else, and
Right.
part of our local communities. We want to be able to help. So absolutely, get an application. Get an application for someone if you know that there's a need out there, and let us know so that we can help where it's needed.
Right. And I had a chance to talk with one of the
Delegates?
representatives. Yep.
That's great.
And it was very enlightening.
Good.
You know, I did not ever meet anybody in that position, and I
Okay.
had a chance to ask a few questions and,
Good.
you know, how they do things, and
Yeah.
it was very informative.
Good.
You know, so, you know, it's a great program. I hope everybody takes advantage of the opportunity to have it there. You may not ever need it, and that's wonderful. But if you know somebody that does need it, know of the program and say, hey, look, have you checked with Intercounty about this and see if there's something they can do in their Roundup program?
Right.
Because if they live in this area, more than likely, they can get some help. I don't,
Yeah.
you know, they may not be able to totally pull them out of the situation they're in, but it can help them
Right.
at least see the light
right.
at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Very good.
Good stuff.
Well, I'm glad I mentioned that.
I know,
Boy,
right?
You would have forgotten. Heather, again, thanks for coming by, seeing us. We always love to see you. Take care.
Absolutely.
Our friends from Intercounty are here every second Tuesday of the month, and we learn a lot from our friends from Intercounty. Of course, they learn more from us, but
Stan's tooting his own
well,
horn.
no. We usually have some really good suggestions. I didn't really have a suggestion
I know you
this
didn't have
time,
one.
except KSMO Relief Fund,
Well,
that
and
you weren't very fond
and
of.
electroshock therapy for the juniors that don't write an essay.
But then I did come up with a new character for Intercounty that wouldn't be a bad idea, you know.
A mascot.
Well, I'm not saying necessarily a mascot, just identifying character.
Yeah.
You know, none of the electric companies have them anymore. I mean, Ready Kilowatt used to be Union Electrics in St. Louis, and
We've got Buddy Bear that's always joins us at the state fair. He's kind of a co-op mascot, if
but
you will.
that's-
But you're talking a whole redesign of
yeah,
the
I'm just
logo.
like, well, you know, Touchstone Energy Cooperative. Just, I mean, it's a nice little symbol, and it means a lot. Now that you told us what it actually means. But for the little kids, when you go make a presentation, wouldn't it be kind of cool to have,
Willie Wirehand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Willie Wirehand, or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Just so that it's a little bit maybe not as intimidating.
Yeah.
It should be intimidating because electric can be dangerous, but at the same time, electricity's your friend. At the same time. That's just a thought. I'm getting the load to shut up. So I'm going to do that, just exactly that. Anyway, Heather, again, thank you for coming in, spending
you.
some time with us here. And don't forget to remember all the things we talked about with Intercounty, with the different things, the Roundup program, the loan program, the revolving loan program, also CDBG, if you're interested in that, and electrical safety, really key. And congratulations again to all those juniors
Absolutely.
that were honored to be selected by their schools, and then they will interview. Be interesting to find out where they place next
Yeah.
time we get together.
That's
You'll
right.
have that
I'll
information.
have that info.
And so we'll find out about those lucky juniors who will either venture off to Jefferson City or hit the big plane off to D.C.
I know.
Yeah, very good. Heather, again, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Stan.
Appreciate it. Keep it here, KSMO. Civic Happenings are next.